What up, motherfuckers? Oh, shit. Always check your hair before you go live. I am going to need my bandana. Okay. Not doing my hair. So when I don't do my hair, I wear the bandana. Okay. Oh, shit. It's not even in good condition, is it? Anyway, fuck it. Today, we shall be talking about what makes a good prospect. The core reason that I'm making this particular training today is that last week we went through, not even last week, it was Thursday. On Thursday, we went through how the link building course goes. And the main problem that people have is saying, when you hire people to do it, how do they know what a good site looks like? So I'm about to show you. But this might be a little bit ranty. We've got some things to say that aren't proven. Got some things to say that are a little bit predicty. But in general, you're going to come away from this with a you're going to come away from this with a checklist of reasonable things to look for in a site. I have lost my talking points, so give me 1 second and I shall get them back. Okay, so save, export, MacBook Pro, open. Yep, that'll do it. Okay. So let's talk about a couple of things first, right? A little bit later on, I'm going to go into what some unreasonable clients ask for in a link. And mainly this is based on all of the years I've been doing this shit, things that people have asked for where I've gone, fuck you. The price you're paying is not worthy of that level of work or whatever, right? So if you're going to get if you're looking for the perfect link, it's basically not going to be found in the wild, right? So what we have to remember here is that PBNs are perfect. And when people try to recreate what's in a PBN in an outreach link, you're very rarely going to find it. So all the criteria that people have for, this is what a PBN link looks like, this is what a perfect link looks like, you can't really get that in the wild. And if you can, it's very rarely going to come at a reasonable price. So you kind of have to find a balancing act between like the value that you're paying and the effectiveness of the link. So we're talking about manual outreach with no lists and stuff like that. Because basically, if there's a list that you maintain yourself, then I have no problem with it. If there's a list that you've got from somebody else or that is being shared between multiple people, it's usually going to be full of shit links, right? Because they're going to be super easy to get. Everyone's just going and buying them. Their price is public or shit like that. So we're not trying to get links that are of PBN level because it's pretty much impossible. So when I'm talking about a reasonable value exchange, how much are you paying and what effectiveness can you expect for that that price? So with 150 quid, we're talking the process that we do. So we're gonna try and get you a guest post. The guest post itself is going to be quite well written just because our writers are so good and so cheap. But we're going to try and get you a guest post. If there's any resistance to a guest post, we just skip it, right? So no, we don't offer free guest posts. All right, next. Is there a paid guest post option? Generally, people will give a paid guest post. And if they do a paid guest post, they generally do a paid link insertion. Link insertions cheaper and more effective than guest posts. People don't like them because they don't look as good in terms of vanity, but in terms of actually moving the needle, and that's something I'm going to say a lot in this lesson. Link insertions are the thing that move the needle the most in terms of cost. Okay, so where are we? Right. So, what makes a good link? I'm going to start typing out. Shit, all right, what should I call this? Oh, it's called where's the thing? There we go. Better prospects equals better links, because all you motherfuckers care about is links. Okay, so better prospects equals better links, right? The first question I asked, right, what makes a good link? Let's answer that question first. And there's a couple of ways to answer it. What makes a good link? The first way to answer it is completely white hat, right? If you don't care about rankings and you just care about Google's terms of service and stuff like that, what makes a good link? And you ask yourself this question. Would a person who visits this site oh, my handwriting is terrible today. Would a person who visits this site be interested? Oh God, what's going on there? I'm gonna I'm not gonna remember what that word says, so I'm gonna delete it. Be interested. That looks more like coherent English. In what's at the other end of the link. That's the question you always ask with white hat link building. It's generally the only question you ask. We went through a couple of years ago on the YouTube channel. We went through Eric Ward's book and went through his prospecting style and stuff like that. This is what it all boils down to, right? Are the users of the site that you're asking for a link on going to be interested in what the fuck's at the end of the link? If the answer is yes, build it. If the answer is no, don't. It's as simple as that, right? However, if you're interested in ranking, I did try to do a like a written version of this, but it didn't really work out because I was going to do it live, but it didn't work out very well. If you're interested in ranking, this question, not that important at times. So this, only for white hat. Okay? Black hat, a few other things start to matter. So, do you know what? Actually, before I move on, I'll show you an example, right? What's that site? There's a really good site that I saw a while ago, and it seemed like it would be the perfect example. We found this during another prospecting critique session, I think we'll call it. Okay, there we go. I've got it. Chainreactioncycles.com. Let me show you this. Okay, so this is a fucking fantastic website when it comes to SEO, right? It's structured really well. The links are good. Internal linking is on point. They do things really, really well. So if you had a site or something you wanted to rank around clothing for cycling or just anything cycling based really, because they have a whole lot of things. Let me see if I can find the menu. Yeah, look at all this stuff. Like, if you have any sites about any of this, if you could get a link on this site, it would be absolutely perfect, right? Reasoning for why it's perfect would be it's super fucking relevant, right? How do I get my thing back? I don't even know why I had to show you that site, but okay, we're back. Okay, right. So why is that good? Okay, it's super, super, super relevant. Super fucking relevant. You cannot get more relevant than that unless you're writing it yourself on a PBN, right? And that's very important, by the way. Testing for us showed, and this was based on a conversation I had at Gareth Dane's event that I spoke at fucking years ago. So I had a conversation with somebody there. They posited a theory. I tested it. It's legit. Closeness to that doesn't say the top of the page. That doesn't say the again. Okay. And we're talking about size of site here in terms of storage space. So let's say kilobytes. The closer you can get to the top of the load in terms of kilobytes, number of kilobytes delivered, the more effective your link will be. Okay, I'm not going to go too far into it. If you want link testing advice and stuff like that, join DCWD. But for right now, these two things will make a great link. If you could get a link on that site we've just shown you, your content is about cycling. It's going to be super relevant. If you can get it to the top of the page, that makes a really good link. White hat, this is all I would worry about. However, if you're interested in ranking, a lot of other things come into consideration. Actually, right, let's do this. If any of you have a cycling site or something that will be relevant to that, message me and we'll try and get a link on that site. I don't know if we'll be able to do it, but we'll try. Let's do that. And we'll do some other links for you as well, just because one link is not going to really do much for you. So if you're interested in ranking, some other things come into consideration. And before I show you exactly what we do, what clients want a link, might be a slight bit ranty, because some of it's just quite unreasonable. Okay. Let's add that actually. Unreasonable. What unreasonable clients want in a link. So I've just got a couple of things here. I went through some emails. These are some complaints that people had, and I'll explain what they are, right? Orphan pages. This can be a super, super relevant link. The category is perfect. They have a lot of traffic on the page, whatever. However, it had no internal links to the page from the rest of the site. So they deemed that an orphan page and therefore didn't want a link on that page. Gambling links. So they didn't want links on sites that had linked out to gambling content, even though there are completely contextual and completely reasonable reasons why somebody might link out to gambling, right? If it's a sports site, something like that, it makes complete sense to talk about gambling and link out to gambling sites. Geolocation. So they didn't want links from Canadian sites. Don't know why. It wasn't a Canadian government site that we're linking from, but it was as good as. It was like the top tier authority site for all of Canada on this subject. Wouldn't accept it, wanted only US. Site depth. So they'll talk about stuff like wanting to be on the first 2 or 3 layers of a site. Doesn't really matter. So as long as the page is being crawled, it's going to find your link. Whether that affects link atrophy and things like that, I think it's unable to be tested, but I would guess no. Perfect relevance. As I spoke about earlier, this doesn't exist. Out in the wild, you cannot find this. Unless you're doing a PBN and writing the content and the site structure yourself, you cannot get perfect relevance. So the one I showed you earlier, that's as close as you're going to get, right? Really well-designed site, really good SEO, talks about the thing that you're also selling. And if people want that on every link, you're going to have to adjust your boundaries for how much you're willing to pay for a link, right? Next is Write For Us pages. The reason people don't like Write For Us pages is because they're easier to get links on, allegedly, right? Because there are loads of these shit sites where it's like people just go and prospect using all the Write For Us pages, apply to them all, get shit guest posts on shit sites. However, that doesn't mean that every site with a Write For Us page is shit. Some of them are actually really, really difficult to get links on. And the way around this for my guys is that we just don't prospect using Write For Us operators. If we find a site that has a Write For Us page, we don't discount it. However, we don't prospect using Write For Us because that just brings up all the shit ones. They want the link at the top of the page. Spoke about this earlier. We understand. They want this was a weird one. The entire site to be relevant. That's very rare to happen. They complained that there were other pages on the site that weren't relevant to their topic. That doesn't matter, right? There are topical cluster things, parts of the algorithm and stuff like that. But for a link, it's only the page and the surrounding content that matters. Oh yeah. No outbound links. And we're talking at all. We even to like authority sites, Wikipedia and stuff like that, they wanted no outbound links. So they wanted me to go and buy a link on a site that nobody else has ever offered to buy a link on before and be successful. The only reason you're ever going to get no outbound links is if they don't do outbound links. So in those circumstances, I'm not going to get one, am I? What was the next? Page traffic, right? They complained that most of the traffic to the website were site traffic and not individual page traffic, even though page traffic was about 600, 700, somewhere around there. There's no way the page is ever going to get more traffic than the site. That's physically impossible. What else was it? The site traffic going up. Yeah. Site traffic up. Ahrefs, we like to see the graph going up. However, it's not super relevant all the time. Like, there are some sites that have massive amounts of traffic and they flatline, they reach a plateau, and that's fine. It doesn't always have to be going up regardless of the context. What's next? No penalties. This makes complete sense. We've had way more than this, by the way. I'm just giving you some of the most popular ones. Oh, this was a weird situation. They wanted the owner of the site to be a well-known person in the industry, which I found that can be okay if you only want really high tier sites. You can pay extra and get those. However, with this next thing, very difficult. They want the owner to be known, but with no public contact info. So by definition, if I cannot find contact info for that person, I can't contact them and get a link on the site. How can that be a requirement? Right. Right, yeah. Don't accept payment. This is not really a bad thing if you want things done in a white hat manner. However, this was gambling. Really impossible. No, I'm sorry, I'm lying to you. It wasn't gambling, it was finance. They wanted loan links. Can't get loan links for free, or very difficult to. Yeah. Competitor links. So they wanted me to guarantee that they would never link to a competitor. I don't know how that's possible. Anyway. And they wanted all this stuff in a few weeks and for cheap. This you're never going to get, right? You want all these things in your links. You're probably not going to get them. You're definitely not going to get them from the type of service that sells for 150, 200 pounds. You're talking £500-600 per link if you want all of this stuff, which then it kind of makes it worthwhile, right? Because it takes much longer to go through and even determine all this stuff. And second of all, you're going to have to pay a hell of a lot of money because it's really, really difficult to get high level links if you're restricted by the amount of time you're allowed to put in it and the amount of money you can pay to get it. Okay. Does this type of stuff exist? Yes, but it's expensive. So what did we just say? 500, 600 per link? If you're willing to pay that, we'll go and do this for you. However, most people aren't. And also, I'd say I would much rather go and spend £600 on 4 links of the type that I'm going to show you now versus these in terms of cost to effectiveness, right? A few other places where this might exist. A beginner affiliate site. So that's when the person they've bought the domain, it's really relevant, they've started putting good content together, but they're not really linking out to anything yet. They don't even have products and stuff like that. You'll generally find all this stuff there. It's also in PBNs. We spoke about that earlier. They're going to be perfect links because you're in complete control of them. But they're expensive to maintain. And they're a pain in the ass. Like, the amount of effort it takes to maintain a PBN now, I would say probably not worth the time. It would take forever to get these kind of links. Takes forever. Did you ever do that when you were young? Takes forever. And essentially, these people here, the people who ask for this kind of stuff, what they want is PBN qualities in organic outreach. And it's very, very, very difficult to find that. I wouldn't even want to, even if somebody was paying me £500-600 per link, I wouldn't even want to go and find these type of links because it would just take forever. So we're not going to do that. Let's talk about reasonable stuff now. So let's give you a usable checklist. This should be good in terms of, we'll add this as well, reasonable. Because what I'm not saying here that these are the perfect links. What I'm saying is these are reasonable price versus effectiveness, and you're going to do well for them. So there are some things that I'll just write them down now. DR and traffic. I don't give two fucks about these things, right? But clients do. The only reason these are included in this is because clients like them. Okay, so I do like to see traffic increases. As I was saying earlier, if you find a site that has a lot of traffic and it's flatlined and they've reached a plateau, that's absolutely fine. But if it's a young site, a new site, it doesn't have massive numbers, I like to see the numbers going up. Not even specifically the traffic numbers, but the number of keywords that it's ranking for, because it should be publishing new content and that content should be ranking and bringing in more traffic, right? No penalties, completely reasonable. You don't want a site, even though I would argue that a site that's had a penalty and recovered would be absolutely fine to link to. I wouldn't sell it to a client just because they might complain about it. No gambling links. Again, I think there are very reasonable places where this happens naturally and within context, but for the sake of making a quick, reasonable checklist, if it has outgoing gambling links, just take it off the list. Most important of all, relevance. I can't teach you how to determine relevance, but I think we all know it when we see it, right? It has to the the person who is on that page must want what's at the end of your page. That's a good way to determine relevance. Outbound links. While I don't care too much about outbound links, um, if they're to places like YouTube and Wikipedia, places like that, absolutely fine with them. But we try to do outside of those like elite sites, I want only one other outbound link on the page, right? Once you have a link on that page, you can determine what happens after that. But we try to, at least at the time of publication, have only one. As I spoke about earlier, write for us pages. And by this, I just mean don't prospect using write for us operators. And internal links to the page. If it has these 9 factors, I'm going to be okay with that link. Some of my guys, they have their own things that they look into to make their job easier and quicker. Shit out a higher level of link by putting in a higher quality. But if I'm talking about a reasonable checklist, this takes about 2-3 minutes to check all these things. And it's a usable checklist, right? If you went and look for links like this, you'll be fine. They'll do you no harm whatsoever, and they'll move the needle. Beyond what we look for before we do the outreach, I mean, okay, so I'll show you the process later. It's a weird little rhythm because we do outreach sometimes before we've even checked any of this stuff. But we set a budget for each client. Usually it's $50. Well, $30 to $50 is where we want to be. If we can pay that much per link, that's fine, because then I pay $20 to the link builder per link. So at most I'm paying 70 per link, right? Keeps the margins good, allows me to pay the tax man, stuff like that. I wonder if I should I show you how I do it now? I might show you this another time, but here's how I'm going to draw out how the process works for you. So we use Buzzmarker. I've told you about this last time. It's a buzz stream tool that's fucking fantastic. You set your results to your Google to show 100 results. You type in whatever keyword it is you want to rank for. So let's say bicycle storage. And you just type that in, right? Bicycle storage. It brings you 100 results that are relevant to that and makes a list. So then you have 100 results that are relevant to bicycle storage, at least at the lowest level, right? You're going to then go into Buzzmarker and type in variations of this. 100 best cycling blogs, 50 best biking, things like that. Generally finding collections of things that places where people have already curated a list of good sites. You then right click in Buzzmarker. Well, once you have Buzzmarker installed on Chrome, you can right click and then go to create prospecting list. And it will pull all of the links that are on that page to a prospecting list for you. So we do all of this before we do this, right? Using BuzzStream, it pulls these lists into BuzzStream, by the way, so you don't have to do any importing or anything like that. It automatically creates a contact list in BuzzStream for you. You use, what is it called? I've completely forgotten what it's called. I'm going to just open BuzzStream and find out 1 second. Okay, so I'm in research lists. Oh, I can't see it. Fuck it. In BuzzStream, once you have a list, you can go and check out. I set it to open 4 sites at a time, and what it does is it opens 4 sites at a time in your browser. Okay, you go through, or generally you should have an assistant do this. You go through, check it against these things. If it meets the criteria, give it a thumbs up. If it doesn't, thumbs down. This is not my neatest work, by the way. Look at the state of this. I do need to figure out a way to do this better, but I do kind of like writing. Okay. So, a thumbs down if it doesn't. If you do a thumbs down, it closes the page and opens the next one. So if you have a list of 200 prospects, it's going to just, you're going to end up with all the ones that are positive, and it will just reject all the ones that aren't. It opens them automatically, so it's quite fast. It should take 2 to 3 minutes per site. And then we mass send our quirky, does that say our quirky email sequence. I explained what this is in the video on Thursday. Essentially, it asks for a guest post. The second one comes from a different email address and asks for a link insertion. This gives you 3 lists: sites that are willing to accept guest posts, sites that take paid guest posts, and sites that accept link insertions. Once you have those lists, you can kind of do whatever you want with it. Sometimes, and this is based on personal preference, you can switch these around. So you can do your outreach first to make sure you get your lists, and then based on their responses, you can determine if they're good enough or not. That's actually quicker and more efficient. However, I don't want to waste the number of emails we send. I want to be efficient, so I do it this way. It doesn't really matter. You'll save time if you do this bit first and this bit second. Just because you're only checking your prospects meet your criteria if they actually accept guest posts, so you're never wasting time on sites that don't, right? So some people would just get this whole list part done, then send the email, and then prospect. Okay, so I didn't mean to go into that much detail, but I get carried away on these things. So that's our prospecting system. That's the wrong pen. Okay. And now I'm going to talk about something that's not how to explain this. Not a fact, and it's might be a little bit ranty, might be a little bit speculative, pure speculation and conjecture, right? But here's what's going to happen in the next few years, right? There's going to be a link reckoning, right? And this is going to be a public thing. Somebody, and if I had to bet, I'd say it was Chris Semper of Link Research Tools. Is going to come out with a list of these are factors that make a link good, right? And it's essentially going to be this. It's going to be this and probably a myriad of other factors that make the perfect link. And I'm not saying he's going to be wrong, by the way. I'm just saying he's going to show the communities, the SEO communities, what that is. That's going to be perpetuated by some big names. This is pure speculation, by the way. So take these names, substitute them out for whoever, right? Let's say a big name. Let's say Diggity, right? Matt Diggity. Matt Diggity goes, yes, Chris Semper's list is the perfect list. And that's what we're going to sell links based on. So, authority. Why is it doing that? It's doing. It won't let me run it. It won't let me change off the eraser, which is annoying. Let me just close this down and restart it. Okay, hopefully. Okay, we're back. So authorities, and these are going to be the biggest names, will sell these links. So they'll say, yep, oh, that's good. That's what we're going to sell now. And people will fucking flock to it, right? Oh, God. What am I doing? People will flock to that content to buy those links. The reason is because all the Facebook groups will perpetuate what the perfect link is. And those big names who are providing it are going to make massive amounts of sales. They're going to raise prices because, as I said earlier, you can't provide those type of links for that type of price. So the price of buying links is going to go up, in my opinion, right? And this is just for the average Joe, by the way. So I don't know if anybody is going to fight against this. But what's going to be true is this bit here, the perfect link, is going to be too severe. It's going to be quite unreasonable, and only these certain people with a fuck ton of money, a fuck ton of authority are going to be able to afford to deliver them. It's going to be more expensive and harder to build links. But, and here's the caveat, right? As I've told you before, and has said several times during this, these type of links are not reasonable. So, those of you who have access to, I don't know, link testing and those type of things, or those of you who are building links to your own sites and are willing to, I say risk, but there's not really a risk, willing to risk not having these perfect links, your links will get cheaper and easier. People like me who sell based on testing, we're going to sell. So you're going to be getting more links. £150 link becomes better because they're getting pitched less. They're getting pitched less because nobody wants them because they're bad links, right? But they're not going to be bad links. They're going to be perfectly good links, and they're going to move the needle, which are the only important things. And that, my friends, brings an end to my presentation. How long have we been? 46 minutes, right? Q and A. If you got questions, get them in now. If you haven't, I'm going to go and watch Fringe because that's what I've been doing before I got here. Also, if you do want more information on all this stuff, this is like an overview type thing. If you want more specific info on this, come to DCWD. It's worth the money. Come get it. But let's see what your questions are. If you even have any questions. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to take it that the presentation was perfect, and you all love me and worship me as the king. But I do actually think the comment bit's not working. Whoopsie. I don't really know how to check it either. Maybe on my phone. See, because I know there are comments coming in, but I can't see them. Anyway, fuck it. If there are no questions in the next 1 minute and 33 seconds, I'm out. Nothing, nothing. Got 1 minute left. 1 minute, 10 seconds. Bring this to a nice round 50-minute video. It's showing me that there are comments coming in, but it's not showing me what the comments are or who's sending them. So I just saw 3 comments, but I don't know who they're from or what they say. So, soz man. Right. 30 more seconds. There's not going to be anything coming in. So I'm going to ask myself a question. How many links should I buy and where from? The answers are 1, bajillion and message me. All right, that takes us 50 minutes. I'm out. See ya.